What's up, everyone? Happy Monday.
Hello.
Hi, Jen.
Hi, Todd.
So today we're going to talk about our new, not finished yet, assistant program.
Rolling out.
Yeah. Where do you, why don't you talk about why we're doing this?
Sure.
And why haven't we had one? And I don't even know where to start. Because I think it was this past week that sort of was the catalyst for, okay, let's do this.
Yes.
But a lot of things happen from a lot of different directions.
Which is why it's coming about.
Yeah. So here we go.
So originally when Hello opened, I hired an apprentice, and that's sort of the development program that came behind Hello.
And if you're listening and you're not sure, because only 22 states do
Yes.
this, an apprentice does not go to school.
Correct.
They apprentice under your license.
Yes.
You get an instructor's license.
Yes.
And then they become licensed through the state.
Correct.
All right. They still sit for the state board and all that fun stuff. It's just they skip Cosmo school.
Correct.
Okay.
And have a program, whatever your state's rules are. You're still aligned with the state every month you're checking in.
Yes.
So, and then as our salon began to grow, we needed to hire new stylists, and most of what's coming through the doors is people out of school or newer people in the industry. So we had decided to kind of design this program. I didn't love assistant programs. I actually didn't have a bad experience myself, but most often when I would say the word assistant program, or I would hear the word, I felt like there was this cringe behind it because it was this really long, drawn out program that I felt was designed to hold stylists back and not push them forward. So we kind of just, I sideswept that and was like, well, if these people come in, they do models, I can work with them a little bit one-on-one and we can get them up and running. And
Go ahead.
That worked for a little bit. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say that I co-signed on that. The idea of not having an assistant program until now, because what I had seen for assistant programs were really sort of trash, I guess.
Yeah.
And what I had noticed is it seemed like people were either being taken advantage of on purpose or being taken advantage of by accident.
Yes.
But they were all being held back.
Yes.
And I don't like holding people back.
Correct. Which neither do I. And as a growing business, we need people to progress quickly because we're growing and we need people on the floor. So kind of in the beginning, my mindset was, well, I'll quickly have them go through a model, see where their weaknesses are, and then I'll just work with them and progress them as quick as we can. And like I said, that worked for a little bit, and then it just wasn't working. People needed more help, and I think I was progressing them too quickly. So
you may have accidentally broken a few people.
Yeah, it just,
not on purpose.
No,
Again, and
my heart was in the right place. I want everyone to be doing hair as quick as possible.
You were trying to push them to progress faster than they were mentally capable of.
Yes.
And that's okay from both sides.
Yeah. I see the potential, but not everybody is ready to be there, to arrive. So over the last year or so, we have interviewed some really great, amazing people that didn't take jobs with us because we didn't have an assistant program. And at first I just thought, well, they're just not the right fit. They don't want to really do hair, because I have seen people hide behind an assistant program because they were so scared that they didn't want to touch hair. But what's progressed since this last year is these people have come in, and what I'm hearing is they want to assist, but really what they want is, I don't even think they know what the word assistant program means, but what they want is some confidence building, some technical skills to get them better so that they can be on the floor as quick as possible. So as we've been talking through this, it started to develop this program, which I would love to not call it an assistant program, but for better lack of words right now, that's what it would be called, of how do we customize a program that somebody could come in and progress at their own limits, timeline, things like that. So if somebody came in and we were going to do, let's say I laid out I have right now like a 6-week blow dry program, but let's say the first day one, like they're bomb at blow drying, then how do I get that person to quickly be doing all the other things that I want to encapsulate, is that a word, in blow drying?
Sure.
Okay. So they could be include. So they could be on the floor doing that blow dry within the next week. So this is where.
So basically you're saying, for people listening, you can progress at your own pace.
Yes.
So if you're ready and you essentially test out.
Yes.
And out of your blow dry, so this includes shampoo service.
Yep.
So your shampoo service is good. Your product selection is good. Your massage is good. Your temperature, your pressure, all those
consultation.
Things. Towel wrap.
Yep.
Consultation.
Let's do this.
The hair is actually dry.
Correct.
At the end. So some of the things that we're going to be looking at.
Yeah.
Your tension with your brushes and hot tools and things like that.
Yes.
So
I want you to be done.
If somebody can handle their own with that, they're not waiting around for somebody that might need the whole 6 weeks.
Correct.
And if you need the whole 6 weeks,
I want you to take the whole 6 weeks.
Or 5 weeks or 4 weeks, it doesn't matter because you're probably going to fly through something else. And if you don't, it doesn't matter.
So kind of the goal would be, in this way of how we're designing it, is it's going to quickly expose your weaknesses and your strengths. So the program can play to your strengths. So if those are things you can do well, let's get you doing them right now. And then the weaknesses are those that we can then really spend the time on to bring technically to where they need to be to go on the floor and provide those services for actual clients.
Excellent.
Yeah. And that is where I can sleep at night. And I feel like it's a really kick-ass program that can actually help people and make them feel wonderful about the things they're good at and trust that we're going to teach them and get them technically sound at the things that they're not. And they'll be so well-rounded. I really believe they'll be, within a short amount of time, way ahead of everyone else.
Yeah. So I'm excited about this.
So
and like from an operational standpoint, I can't wait to dive in because I don't do that sort of hair.
And I can visualize it now. I couldn't before because I couldn't figure out how to make it so it'd be a program I would want to go through. That's sort of how I guess I approach things. Like, would I want, if I was new starting out, would this work for me? And when I looked back, when I first started with Delaria, they had a program, I guess, similar. So like you would do a 6 week, you had to go through the program, so you couldn't progress any faster, but it was corporate, so it was different too. But
we're trying to remodel this program.
It's 2023,
so
not 2000.
Catered to, today's audience.
Yeah, you have to innovate and pivot. And
it's great that we're excited as well, but if we can't get students excited, then it doesn't matter.
Yes,
so
and
we
I
have
think
to have that blend as well.
It is different. So it's only going to attract probably a smaller percent of people, which is wonderful. We don't want to be for everybody. So it'll attract those people that are like, I really want to be on the floor. I know it might be uncomfortable to do hair on somebody, but I want someone that will push me, help me grow, and get me where I want to be, So I think the way we're designing this is perfect for that person.
Quick sort of gym story.
Yes.
When I first opened my gym, I was in the process of gathering information because I decided to go about it backwards, right? Mistake number 200 with that gym. I reached out, I messaged someone on like Facebook. That was bigger than Instagram back then. And there was somebody, he was in Brooklyn, and he had a clothing line, and he had a gym that was, I don't know if it was a nonprofit, but he did a lot of work with the community. And I just reached out on a whim, and I was like, look, man, your shit is cool. And I want to do what you do. I want to help more people. I want to reach more people. How do I do that? I'm thinking of doing this. I'm thinking maybe I need a clothing line. I'm thinking all this stuff. And he was like, do you have time in like an hour or two? Jump on a phone call with you. And I was like blown away that somebody would take the time out of their day. They're obviously busy, but I jumped on it, and we spoke for probably an hour, maybe more. And I came away with the conversation with one thing that he dropped for me. And it was, Todd, I've never done anything I haven't been asked to do.
I remember that.
You need an audience. And that stuck with me. And so this past week, 2, maybe tops 2 weeks, probably less. It's clicked for me where I'm like, a lot of people are asking for this. They want this. And so it becomes sort of our responsibility to help get it out there for people.
Yeah. And I mean, we were just at a school for career day and there were people coming through like wanting to work at our salon.
When is your assistant program?
Yeah.
Because we teased it out. Like we told them a little bit. We were like, we don't have the detail. I just cut you off totally.
It's okay.
We don't have the details right now, but here's a glimpse and here's the direction.
Yeah.
And any feedback they have, like they're welcome to reach out if they're listening.
Right. And they know people that have, worked with us, have been through our salon and just have heard such great things. And like I said, there were a few people that came in to interview and really wanted to work with us, but with that lacking of that assistant program, they just didn't feel like they could work with the program we currently had. And that is where it sort of, I guess, changed the way we looked at it. And it's like, oh, well, we can evolve and make one that would be cool and exciting and one that I think I could get behind, basically.
Right. And so simultaneously, we've been beginning to work with a different school, not a hair school.
Right. Yes. Which is very exciting.
And so
that started
a
this
whole
thing
nother,
too. Yeah.
So
at that school would be more of, we're working with high school students enrolled in cosmetology and how can we bring some light into their education, and then how can we help them, those that really want to be in a salon in the future, and how can we make that role happen for them too, which is very cool.
Right. So we're not only laying out an assistant program, but what an intern program would look like. And then we've decided that there should be this sort of intermediate layer between them, which I don't have a word for, but associate is something that comes to mind, right?
Yeah.
And we're careful with our words because I don't want our assistant program for people to be like, I answer phones and sweep.
Right.
That's not what, in my opinion, those things are valuable. They add a lot. They take a lot off of a salon owner, a salon manager's plate. If your salon has a front desk, it could help them. So there's a lot of value in assistance. But someone recently was like, well, what's the goal? What are they becoming? And when you start to think of that and you start to apply that, like what gets them ready?
Right.
Answering a phone is important. You need to know how to answer the phone professionally. It does not take 9 months of you answering the phone to get that down. And if it does, you might not be a good fit.
Correct.
Booking appointments. You should be able to get that. I get tripped up on the software sometimes, but you should be able to get it in like a few days.
Yeah, it's pretty
Just book some appointments and you'll see it. Sweeping. You should be able to get that down.
Yeah.
Like it should be, here's where we keep the brooms. Here's what we do when we sweep the hair up. Yeah. Here's how to sweep. Here's how to move a chair. Like those sort of things. But you should be able to do that quickly. And then just sprinkle that in as you're focused on learning hair.
Correct. I think a lot of people don't realize, or they probably don't give a fuck, but anyway, we are Hello Hair Co. And the Co, I think a lot of people think is not what it is, basically. Company is what most people think of. Collaboration. So the other part, I guess, where you just hit on was this assistant program I was lacking in, because sometimes I do feel like it can make if your hair pro staff become very lazy. And that is not something that I encourage, or that's not an environment I want to be in. So the other part was like, how do you do this and keep your culture where everybody still sweeps and does the stuff that they're supposed to do too, and everybody still helps each other. We're not creating this like pecking order in the salon. What we're trying to do is help build hair pros, help them understand the culture, what's expected of them, and they're there to help too. But anyone in that salon is there to help when you have downtime. So not one trumps the other. And at some point, your team seamlessly just becomes this kind of one big team. It's not like, oh, well, they sweep, I don't. Like that is where I think I was really lacking on wanting to bring in a program, because I was nervous. But what I do believe in is the leadership we bring to our team. That will not happen, or that would be quickly diverted if that was happening.
So just to be clear, if people are listening, Jen, you had a salon for 10 years where some of this sort of happened, where you would bring people in and they were like, your veteran staff would be like, well, I don't have to sweep.
Yeah, I had a staff member actually at one point was like, I'm busy enough in here. So like now I don't have to do anything. That's what they're here for. And I quickly was like, no, it's not. But
that can creep in because it's easy. And
yeah, it just creeped in.
It happens because say you're a hair pro, you're busy. You think you're veteran status because you've done hair for 2 years. Mm-hmm. And you're like, hey, assistant, go mix my color. Hey, assistant, wipe this down while I go have my coffee. Like stuff like that, which is just not going to fly at.
No.
I don't anticipate any issues with it, but it is something that sort of prohibited this program from beginning.
Mm-hmm. And I definitely think, because I am like super busy behind the chair, and at the same time I'm managing the salon and just doing lots of things. So if I get a minute, there are times where I'll be like, hey, can someone just quickly sweep and clean up for me? I need to get a bite to eat because my next client's going to be here and these are my only 15 minutes of the day or something. So I think what I like to bring in, and I do it with the newer staff and it'll be part of this program, is, obviously there are people in here that are busier than others. And I want at the end of the night that we're all leaving together. And if you have time, that you're helping out maybe more than someone else because you have the time, right? It's not just because it's not like you have to, I guess, but it's because you want to, so that we can all lock up and leave at the same time. And the people that are just finished up their client can like be very thankful for that. Right. And
yeah, because there's going to come a time where someone helps you.
Correct. So this way
you helped them.
Yeah. And it's just that.
And it's not a 1-for-1.
Right.
It just is what it is.
And then as a team, we can all head out together and that person can just collect their stuff and go. And that's like a gift, and I want it to be looked at more like that. And then as you grow, like it just, all of that stuff keeps happening. And that's part of being collaborative and working as a team and appreciating the team. And that's the culture in your salon. But that does take leadership and accountability and making sure you're watching that program so that it's developing in the way you want and it doesn't take over in a way that you do not.
So it's interesting. Last week or the week before, I had one of our staff who was like, Todd, you walk through the door and the first thing you do is grab a broom. And I was like, well, lead by example, right? Mm-hmm. But also, if there's hair on the floor, which we're a salon, so there always is. I assume no one saw it. I assume I'm the first to see it.
Yeah.
I don't assume somebody just left it there. So I just sweep it up, and it is what it is. Mm-hmm. And we've had it's funny too because we've had people. I was cleaning the base of a chair one day, and somebody was introduced to me, and they were like, "Wait, you're one of the owners?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they were like, "You never see owners on their hands and feet," and I'm like, "Well, you do. Yeah. There are some of us out there that aren't going to be like, hey, you do this.
Right.
We just do it. And hopefully our staff, over time catches on and then they just do it when they see it. And I assume that's what everyone's doing. I could be wrong, but.
Probably not, but that would be hopeful.
So if you're listening, staff, and you see hair on the floor, sweep it up.
Yeah, help out. Trust
me, you have a second. Mm-hmm. And it's cool too, because when you sort of get that ingrained in your culture, there's nothing that needs to be done for 45 minutes at the end of the night.
Right.
Because of all those times you just grabbed a broom and swept hair. Because of all those times you just wiped out a bowl that was in the sink. Like, I don't color hair. When I go to the sink, if there's a bowl of color in there, somebody was busy and they tossed a comb or whatever, I just clean it. Mm-hmm. I don't think about it. I just do it.
Right.
What else do we want to talk about with this assistant program?
That's pretty much all I got. I think if that's something you're interested in adding to your salon or something that you have and you're looking to revamp it and need some direction with that, we'd be happy to help. Todd and I have been talking about it for a while now, and I think I have some cool ideas of how to develop it. I used it wrong when we were talking earlier, but develop it where the stylist or the hair pro, whatever you call your teammates, they're growing within the program without even really being told they're growing. And I think my goal is when they're testing out or they get to the point where they test out of that first service I'm looking for, is they're just like, holy crap, I learned so much and didn't realize it. It just like the light bulb went off because they're not as stressed or feel so much under pressure. And I think that's the importance of a program of today, in today's hair world. Yeah,
what you're talking about, I remember the conversation outside. What you're talking about is just sort of trickling things in. Mm-hmm.
Not all at once. And
like today we're going to do this. You're not.
Yeah.
So
a real focus.
Your
on
apprentice had to do, was it a root retouch or something
Yes.
where you were like, you're not draping the client.
Right.
You're not talking to the client. You're not mixing. You're not formulating. You're not doing anything.
Just applying it.
Just apply this color.
Yes. And that's all I'm looking for.
Still had a breakdown.
Yes. Yeah, timing doesn't matter. Nothing matters in this case. Yes, and still had a breakdown. But at the end of it was like, wow, I could do that again and again. That was amazing.
Right.
Because and
the breakdown's okay. That happens.
Yeah,
it's stressful.
it is
You're talking about another human being.
Yes.
The last thing you want is to mess something up where now you know that person feels uncomfortable or insecure and you're sending them out into the world.
Correct.
Also, you're charging them.
Right.
So.
Yeah. And then the next time she does it again, we'll add on to that service something else that I think she can handle. And that's part of it. So it's like, it's just so they can handle it and feel successful at the end. Like she did feel successful, even though she had a little mini breakdown. But when that was done, she felt great and the smile on her face, and I could feel how excited she was. And that's really the goal, I think, is to lift people up. I come from a time where a lot of assistant programs were to like cut you down. And don't get me wrong, I guess kind of where it's coming from, because when you've been doing this a long time, you see people come out of school and they're cocky and they think they know everything. I mean, I've been doing hair for, I think, 24 years now. So you're looking at them like, what do you really know? But the point is like, they're excited. And if someone's excited, like help them just keep being excited rather than take the rug out from under them and make them feel like they fell flat on their face and then build them back up. Work with the excitedness. Put them in their place too. Don't get me wrong. I think there's a way to do that and do it where you're still being like respectful.
That's called candor.
Yeah. But I think there's a point where like, I don't know, not a lot of people are excited anymore about anything. So if someone is, that means they're willing to learn. And if they pick to learn under you, like they're like, be proud of that.
I agree on all that stuff. And I want to point out that this will be an actual program that we will have like written out, drawn up.
Yeah.
Everything is going to be
systematized,
checked and double checked. And then we actually have some people from the state level that's going to be checking this stuff over for us as well, just because we made the contacts. So why not use them? Yeah, and then we'll have our first person go through it, and then it'll be a living document, and we'll make it even better. We will revamp it because that's what we do. Yep. We're going to keep these episodes shorter, I think. So instead of that 40, 50, we were creeping up on some of them because we were trying to cram in like 3 topics or whatever. We're hoping for that 20 to 30 minute mark. Yeah. So we're at like, I don't know, 23 minutes almost, we'll say. Let's close on this. If somebody wants to be accepted into our assistant program, what are we looking for? What are you looking for in a student coming out of school who is like, I want to assist, I want to do it here? So I look for conversation. So it's a big one. Yeah, like, can you make eye contact? Can you converse maturely, professionally? That's my coffee rule. Yeah. It could be tea or whatever. If I can't have a coffee with you, I can't work with you. Yeah. So that would be first. There's always kind of that gut feeling too, but that's important. And also I'll say this, like how you show up. So we do hair. So if you are showing up and your hair and stuff isn't done, like it's a no from the get-go, because I'm not here to tell you, I don't want to have to dress you, do your hair, and teach you. I just want to teach you. So you should show up pretty much how you would for work, bringing your best self. Some people might laugh and be like, everybody would show up doing their hair. Nope, they don't. They just don't. So showing up as if you were like how you would want to be behind the chair, how you'd want to look as a stylist, the conversation, and knowing a little bit about what your strengths and weaknesses are, like your opinion on that. I'll come up with my own, but I do like to see what yours are at of yourself. Like, where do you think you sit? I want people to be honest when I meet with people or when we meet with people. But I tend to look for some sort of humility. I want humble. I want that open, growth focused mindset. The last thing, the biggest, so this just happens because people with this type of personality can't help it. But if you come in and you tell me how amazing you are at everything, that's a red flag. And it's a no for me, dog. Yeah. Like, I just don't see the fit.
And coming out of
Because
school, like you have a lot to learn.
I was going to say, I came out of school as well.
Yeah.
You pretty much know nothing. I'm not saying anything negative about schools. You learn what you learn.
They give you a foundation and they teach you to pass a test. If you can do that, they did their job.
The reason that I look at it and I'm like, you know nothing is because you know the same exact amount that every other student that came out of school knows.
Yeah.
And if you don't, that's fine. That's fine. I know people are all at different levels, but in my opinion, that's the biggest thing I would say. So if someone's listening, come in and just like be hungry and want to learn.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you are good at something or something comes natural to you, it's going to show itself.
Yeah. And
I'm also not saying don't say it. Like if you're like, oh, my teacher's always said like I was really good for whatever reason at foiling or the way I hold my foils or my tools, like great, mention it. But you don't have to be like, I'm sick with this, like all this stuff. You know what I mean?
I think also we
see a lot of that.
Yeah, I've seen this too, where people come in and they're like, I want education, right? I want to learn. And then we start doing hands-on education and I see them in the back corner and they don't want to show their work. So truly, they don't really want to learn. So when we say we're offering a program and we're offering education, it means you are going to quickly be working on mannequins, then models, and you are going to progress. So if that is something you want to hide behind somebody and just watch them for the next year, this is not going to be the salon for you. Like it means you want to watch, learn, hands-on, all of those things incorporated together.
Cool, man.
Which just means being honest with yourself.
Just making some notes here. Yeah, that's all I have too. So
reach out.
Yeah.
Reach out if you want help creating a program. Reach out if you also are interested in our program coming out of school or in school.
That's all I got. We'll see you next week.
Have a great day.
Bye.